Are you planning a trip to Japan? Before you pack your bags, make sure you don't offend the locals with these common mistakes. Konnichiwa. Welcome to the land of the rising sun, where the culture is rich and the people are polite. Japan is a fascinating country with a unique way of life that may take some getting used to for foreigners. Most Japanese people understand and forgive cultural differences, but there are certain things you should avoid doing if you want to show respect and avoid causing offense. Whether you're a first-time traveler or a seasoned veteran, we've got you covered with this list of the top 8 things not to do in Japan. So grab a green tea and let's get started. Make sure to hit that like button. We guarantee you that the last rule on this list will blow your mind. Number 8. Always follow the chopstick etiquette. In Japan, chopsticks are a big deal. They are used in almost every meal, and there are specific rules and taboos that you should know about. While the Japanese will be impressed if you're comfortable using chopsticks, making a faux pas with them will raise eyebrows. One of the biggest taboos is sticking your chopsticks vertically in your rice bowl. This is a big no-no, as it resembles a funeral ritual, and nobody wants to bring that energy to the table, right? Instead, always use the chopsticks holder next to your plate when you need to put them down. Another thing to avoid is using your chopsticks to pass food to someone else's chopsticks. In Japan, this is considered rude and is another big taboo. When sharing dishes, use your chopsticks to take the food and put it on your plate before eating it. And here's another tip. If you need help with how to use chopsticks, don't be afraid to ask for a fork. Most restaurants will have them available and the locals will appreciate that you're respecting their culture. Number 7. No wearing shoes indoors. Did you know that shoes in Japan are considered unclean and not allowed inside many homes and public spaces? That's right. So if you're visiting a Japanese house, remove your shoes as soon as you step through the door. Outdoor shoes are a big no-no, but don't worry, most Japanese households will have indoor slippers available for you to slip on. And if you're dining in a traditional Japanese restaurant, remember that shoes are also not allowed in areas where diners sit on the floor on traditional tatami mats. In this case, slippers are not worn, so make sure your socks match and are holes-free. But wait, there's still more. When using the toilet in Japan, you'll need to do another switcheroo with your slippers. Yep, that's right. You'll need to exchange your indoor slippers for the special toilet slippers when using the restroom. When you're done, don't forget to switch back to your indoor slippers before leaving the toilet area. I know it's a lot to remember, but it's a part of the unique and fascinating Japanese culture. Number 6. Following the queuing system. Japan is known for the discipline of the locals and their love for orderly queues. Suppose you're planning a trip to Japan, you might want to prepare yourself for the sight of neat and organized lines of people waiting patiently at bus stops, train platforms, and even elevators. Yep, you heard that right, even elevators. On platforms at train stations, there are lines on the floor indicating where to stand and wait for your train. And when the train arrives, the doors will open precisely in between the 2 parallel lines that have been formed by waiting for commuters. How cool is that? It's like a well-oiled machine that just runs smoothly and efficiently. Of course, with excellent order comes great responsibility, so if you're waiting in line for the train, wait until passengers have left the train before boarding in a single file. Number 5. Do not eat on the go. Listen up, all you snackers and sipper-outers. If you're heading to Japan, think twice before eating or drinking while on the go. In Japan, people never munch on food or guzzle drinks when walking down the street. But why, you may ask? For starters, fast food sold at street stands and stalls is eaten standing up, so there's no need to rush. And if you're feeling thirsty, no problem, vending machines are available in public places where you can grab a drink and enjoy it on the spot. Eating or drinking on public transport is considered bad manners in Japan. The idea is to keep the train, bus or subway clean and tidy and avoid unpleasant smells or spills that might disturb your fellow passengers. However, there is an exception to this rule on long-distance trains, so if you're planning a long train ride across Japan, feel free to bring snacks or a drink to enjoy during your journey. Also remember, when you grab a drink from a vending machine, consume it immediately and toss the can or a bottle in the recycling bin next to the machine. Number 4. Before getting into the bathtub, shower first. Oh boy, we've got some juicy info on Japanese bathing etiquette. Now, if you thought hopping into a tub of steaming hot water was as easy as 1, 2, 3, think again. In Japan, there's a whole routine involved in taking a bath, and you better follow the rules if you want to avoid sticking out like a sore thumb. First off, forget about using the bathtub for washing yourself. Nope, it's reserved for soaking only. And don't even think about skipping the pre-bath scrub down with a shower or a faucet. That's a big no-no. Now, if you're brave enough to venture into a public bath or onsen, get ready for serious do's and don'ts. Firstly, you can't just dive in there with your swimwear on. It's a naked affair. And ladies, tie that hair up, or else you'll be fishing out a wet, soapy mess from the bath water. Also, keep the towel away from the water, no matter how tempting it may be to use it as a makeshift loofah. And lastly, if you're sporting some ink, you might want to cover it up, or else you'll be getting some unwanted attention from the locals, and not the good kind. Number 3. Avoid blowing your nose in public. Listen up folks, if you're feeling under the weather during your trip to Japan, keep your tissue box handy because blowing your nose in public is a significant no-no. That's right, you don't want to be caught red-handed committing this uncouth act. Excuse yourself to a bathroom or find a private spot to care for your runny nose in peace. Don't be alarmed if you see people walking around with face masks. They're not trying to rob a bank or audition for a role in a ninja movie. In fact, wearing a face mask in Japan is common, especially during the chilly winter months. It's a sign that they're either feeling under the weather or want to prevent the spread of germs to others. Number 2. Avoid pointing. In Japan, pointing is never polite, and pointing your finger at someone is frowned upon. So if you want to direct someone's attention to a particular person or a thing, point your finger down and wave your hand gently towards it. It's a subtle gesture that shows respect and consideration for the other person. And when referring to yourself, forget about the classic me, me, me gesture. In Japan, people use their forefingers to touch their noses instead of pointing directly at themselves. This is a polite way of indicating themselves and avoiding potential misunderstandings or offenses. But don't think you're off the hook regarding chopsticks. These versatile utensils are a staple in Japanese cuisine, but using them to point is a definite red flag. Not only is it rude, but it's also unhygienic. So remember to keep your chopsticks away from your face and avoid using them to indicate things or people. Number 1. Do not tip. Yeah, we actually said do not tip. Here's why. In Japan, tipping is not a thing. That's right, you heard me. You don't have to stress about calculating the right amount to add to your bill. It's all included. And don't even think about rounding up your fare with a tip in a taxi because those drivers won't have it. Trust me, they won't appreciate your attempts to be generous. So sit back, relax and enjoy your meal without the added pressure of calculating a tip. And if you accidentally leave some coins on the table, don't be surprised if your waiter comes sprinting after you to return your forgotten change. Now that's service. Arigato for joining us on this cultural journey through Japan. We hope our list of things not to do has helped you avoid awkward moments or misunderstandings during your visit. Remember, when in doubt, observe the locals and follow their lead. And if you do slip up, don't worry too much, just apologize and move on.